Hey guys, this is Neon, this is CLOWNFISH TV, and this is yet another Star Wars video. Yeah, we're going to do another Star Wars video today because this popped up this afternoon, and I have to give a shout out to Baka for tweeting this at us. Today, we're going to talk about Anthony Daniels, C-3PO himself, disappointed with the new films, disappointed with the direction of Star Wars. I think after The Rise of Skywalker, we're going to see a lot of dirt come out. I really do feel this. Mark Hamill has been biting his tongue. John Boyega seems to be a little more vocal on Twitter lately. I think we're going to see a lot more backlash from people involved with the sequel trilogy. In the months and years to come. I'm waiting for the tell-all book from one of the actors about their experiences working on the sequel trilogy, working with Rian Johnson, working with Kathleen Kennedy, working with Disney compared to working with George Lucas himself. Should be very, very interesting. Should be interesting. But before we get into this video, please subscribe if you guys have not subscribed already. We hit 70,000 subs this week. Thank you so much for that. We're hoping for 100,000 very, very soon. Again, big shout out to Baka, who tagged us in the tweet earlier today. Didn't have time to record until now, so now we're going to do it. All right, here we go. Express.uk, which loves the Star Wars rumors. I swear, I thought it was like an actual newspaper, but I guess it isn't. They're just all about the Star Wars rumors. Anthony Daniels has a tell-all book coming out, conveniently enough, right before The Rise of Skywalker, but he is telling all, and he's never really been one to bite his tongue. If you've followed Anthony Daniels over the years, he will tell you what he likes, what he doesn't like, who he likes, who he doesn't like. Of course, he had a very famous feud with Kenny Baker, R.I.P. Yet, newsflash, C-3PO and R2-D2 did not get along very well in real life. Any Star Wars fan probably knows that, but I just have to restate it. We might talk a little bit about that after reading this. Anthony Daniels reveals his disappointment with the new films. Star Wars 9, Rise of Skywalker, C-3PO legend Anthony Daniels tells Express Online he understands the backlash and has a message for fans ahead of Episode 9. Now, before I go any further, I did read this entire article, and I'm thinking, wow, okay, he's sticking up for the fans. Now, it's basically the message of this article is be sure to drink your Ovaltine, because at the very, very end, he sounds like I understand where you guys are coming from. I get it. But at the very end, he's like, please go see The Rise of Skywalker. But it will be interesting to see what happens, like I said, in the months and years to come. I do think that we're going to have more actors, actresses coming out and saying, yeah, it was a shit show. It was. The fans were right. But we had to do what we had to do, and we signed the papers with the mouse, and we had to bite our tongues. So there's been a huge disturbance in the Force, not since the dodgy days of a certain Gungan has the fandom been so divided or angry. Angry fans, man babies, alt-right trolls. Huge numbers protested the divisive plot lines and ending of The Last Jedi. Major stars like Luke Hamill are popularly believed to be equally unhappy. Are you sure about that? Express.co.uk. Okay, maybe this isn't a reputable newspaper. Express Online sat down with Anthony Daniels to chat about his new book, I Am C-3PO. We had to ask him about the backlash and what he thinks of The Last Jedi. The actor says, well, yes, I do understand why the fans are unhappy. It speaks to a devotion that they care so much that they mind if someone messes with it. I understand people being critical of the films. Okay, so C-3PO gets it, right? He has remained fairly silent until now, while stars like Mark Hamill, is he related to Luke Hamill? Maybe he is. Mark Hamill have dropped loaded comments online and in interviews. Daniel says, I know it has been particularly difficult for Hamill, both of them, lately because the new movies haven't given him much to do. You think they completely destroyed his character and his legacy, in my opinion, and in the opinions of many other Star Wars fans. I certainly recognize that and can relate to it. In these new movies, I have felt like a table decoration, and that's because I recognize this character, C-3PO, is worth so much more. But I understand it's a whole film, not a feature about C-3PO. That's just my personal disappointment. I get paid whether or not he does anything, but it would be nice for him to have a purpose. Yeah, I want to talk about that, okay? The classic characters that haven't been killed off have been sidelined. R2-D2 and C-3PO have been treated horribly in the sequel trilogy. They've been sidelined for BB-8, and it looks like in the next movie, possibly sidelined for BB-8 and Dio, or whatever that little freaking thing is that they've got. The green green megaphone on wheels. They haven't been treated very well in these movies. They've gotten very, very little screen time. The screen time they've gotten is forgettable. R2-D2 was conked out throughout the entirety of The Force Awakens until the very end. He was barely used in The Last Jedi. He was basically a film projector, and that's the only reason he existed in that movie. 3PO, has he even had more than 2 or 3 lines in any of these movies? It doesn't seem like he's had anything to do. He's just kind of there. He's just kind of there. And that's why it's so infuriating when you see the trailer from The Rise of Skywalker and you've got 3PO looking at the new cast and saying he's thinking about his friends. They're not his friends. He has spent no time with them. If that's who he's talking about and he's not having a flashback to Luke and Leia and Han and Chewie, then that's complete bullshit because he hasn't spent any time with these people. 3PO has been, I agree with Anthony Daniels, he's been a table decoration in this trilogy. The droids who were supposed to be kind of the focal point of all 9 movies, according to George Lucas, they were the consistent characters from trilogy to trilogy to trilogy, originally as he envisioned it. And yeah, they've had very little to do. They're just kind of there. They're just kind of there, you know. The actor also confesses to not being too thrilled with his time working on the divisive prequel trilogy. It was certainly a bit weird in the prequels, but I accepted the storylines were very different. I was very glad to be there, although they weren't that much fun to do. Well, in the first one, he basically was just voicing 3PO. If I remember correctly, they had a puppeteer doing the skeletal 3PO. And then the second one, he swaps his head with the battle droid. Don't know what the hell's going on. Third one was, you know, pretty much 3PO. But again, he had more to do. At least we can remember what 3PO did in those 3 movies. I couldn't really tell you what he did in the sequels. He in The Force Awakens, his most memorable line was pointing out that he had a red arm, which mysteriously disappeared in The Last Jedi. Who knows what the hell happened there. There have been major hints that the Golden Droid will finally play a much larger role in The Rise of Skywalker. In the red-eyed trailer seen hints he may perhaps even sacrifice himself or turn evil. Well, isn't that great? Isn't that great? We're going to kill off 3PO in this movie. That's all we need to kill off 3PO. And beyond that, if he does turn evil, isn't that just doing the whole battle droid shtick again? Does anybody want that again? Daniels obviously cannot give much away, but he teases 3PO has a very major arc. I'm very satisfied with what I had to do in this movie, and I'm very satisfied with everything I know about this movie. Of course I am. I get paid either way. Many fans have threatened to boycott the final film in the Skywalker saga. Daniels has a message for them. He has a message. Just, you know, be sure to drink your Ovaltine. People should be respectfully critical. The toxicity was so shocking and unpleasant and often wrong. To be venomous and cruel is against the ethos of a story about goodness. I get tweets from people saying they will never watch another Star Wars film again. Well, I bet they do. I bet they do. Everybody needs to see how it ends. It did end. Anthony, I'm going to respectfully disagree. Star Wars did have an ending. Return of the Jedi was the ending. We don't need another ending. I hope they do, because from everything I've seen so far, it's really rather good. And all will be revealed in December. Before that, fans can read his book. Go buy his book. Yeah, you know, of course he's going to say this. And look, I'm not faulting Anthony Daniels. You know, he's got to promote the movie. But like I said, I think once the dust settles, you know, after The Rise of Skywalker, good or bad, there's going to be a lot of discussion, especially as more and more of these people hit the convention circuit, you know, work on other projects post-Star Wars. Even if it's 5 or 10 years from now, they're going to let it rip. They're going to let it rip, and they're going to say what they really thought about Star Wars. Mark Hamill is definitely going to squeal. He's definitely going to squeal. John Boyega is definitely going to squeal. I think Boyega seems like he's very, very frustrated with how they've handled Finn. I know the squealers when I see him. I know a squealer when I see one. So I think those two in particular are going to squeal. Anthony Daniels, he's always been very outspoken. Very outspoken. Now, you know, you can't really mention Anthony Daniels without mentioning Kenny Baker. And they got somehow express.co.uk got like 15 articles out of this one interview with Anthony Daniels, but they do talk about his feud with Kenny Baker. He doesn't seem to think very highly of Kenny Baker. I've only met Kenny Baker or seen Kenny Baker once. We went to a comic convention years ago and he did a panel, and he was a very talkative guy. I mean, he talked a lot, but apparently that is the issue that Anthony Daniels had with Kenny Baker. I don't know the full story. I just know they did not get along well at all in real life, and it could just come down to personality differences. I don't know. But yeah, he's been very vocal. I mean, he was even, you know, before The Force Awakens came out, I remember Anthony Daniels talking about how out of shape Mark Hamill was. You know, that he looked very old compared to Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher. And it was like, wow, I hope you're joking. I hope you're joking, and he's in on the joke. But I don't know. Again, wait until January-ish, February, March. Wait about a year or two. You're going to hear more of this. I fully believe from people involved with Disney Star Wars after the last movie drops. I think they're going to spill. They're going to spill. And, you know, part of it might just be pent up frustration. And part of it might be that they want to remain in the fans' good graces. You know, it depends on how things go. So, we'll keep an eye on this. We'll keep an eye on this as we count down to the Rise of Skywalker, the second ending to the Star Wars saga, the Skywalker saga, even though Luke's dead. We'll talk to you guys later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.